All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Keith Thurman trying to slide out of a Jaron Ennis fight or even the conversation about one. Man, I'm riding with Keith Thurman, man, but he definitely exposed himself in this one. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division talking about two of my favorite fighters in the sport, and no, neither one of them are named Spence or Crawford. Talking about Keith one-time Thurman, a former two-time welterweight champion, unified welterweight champion, and one of the best young fighters in all of the game, if not one of the best fighters in the game, and that is Jaron Boots Ennis. Keith Thurman gave an interview or was on a podcast and really was sharing a lot of different information about the Errol Spence Jr., him trying to get a fight with Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford, but in doing so, pretty much expose what his thoughts are on Jaron Ennis. So we're going to talk about that and what it means for the welterweight division. Now, before I get into that, though, if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for your support. It is definitely greatly appreciated. And thank you for everything you guys do in the live streams and in the videos through the super chats, the cash apps, and the super thanks, which you can do in the comment section below. But let's get into the, and also if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. All right, so been talking a lot over the last several months about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. And there's been a lot of people that'll come into the comment section and say, Fanon, I'm tired of this fight, want to move on, and either get this fight with Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford done, or move on to other fights that are taking place. And I'm telling you, I am pretty much where you are in that regard. So let's talk about two fighters in that division that will be fighting very soon and could be fighting Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford if that fight does not get made, and that is Jaron Boots Ennis and Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman was recently on a podcast with my man Mo City Menace, where he and Keith Thurman went back and forth about him getting a fight with Errol Spence Jr., he being Keith Thurman, getting a fight with Errol Spence Jr. and or getting a fight with Terence Crawford if these Keith Thurman used the phrase negotiations don't come through. But then in the midst of it, and this is one thing that bugs me about Keith Thurman. And I'm telling you, I like Keith Thurman. I've been riding with Keith Thurman pretty much since he came back for the Manny Pacquiao fight, where he took that really long time off and he lost his two belts. And before that, I was on him I was on him a lot because he wasn't trying to make the fight with Errol Spence Jr. But pretty much ever since he came back and he fought Josesito Lopez, and then he fought Manny Pacquiao, I've been down with him because there's so many people that are just trying to brush this guy off, right? And say, no, Errol doesn't need to fight him, Terence doesn't need to fight him, as if Keith Thurman is not one of the best welterweights out there because he lost a fight to Manny Pacquiao coming off several injuries and a long layoff. So I like Keith Thurman. I am fully in favor of him getting a fight with either Errol Spence Jr. or Terence Crawford. Personally, I would prefer to see Keith Thurman fight Errol Spence Jr. because that's a fight that I wanted to see back then, and I'm stuck in my ways like that. I know why Errol doesn't want the fight, but for me, really doesn't matter. I think that's a fight that's a good fight. It'll be an entertaining fight. A fight that either it's going to go the distance or Keith Thurman's going to get murked, one or the other, but something I want to see. However, where Keith Thurman is rearing his head, basically doing again the stuff that he was doing before with Errol Spence Jr., history is repeating itself with Jaron Ennis. The fact of the matter is that Jaron Ennis, who is young fighter out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, he is in the top 4 of every major sanctioning body. I do believe he's number 2 with the WBC. He's definitely number 1 with the IBF. I think the only one, or maybe he might be number 4 in the WBC, but I think the only one that there's only one division where he's outside, one sanctioning body where he's outside of the top 3. That fight right there is one that is an obvious fight to make, provided that the money is there from Showtime, because that is where Keith Thurman is in his career. Now, I'm not saying that he's somebody that doesn't have, any value and just throw him to the wolves, but in this conversation, once again, he even refused to mention Jaron Ennis's name. So it's like, come on, man. He says something to the effect of, that talking about Errol Spence Jr.'s fight with Terence Crawford. He says, look, the thing that I like about Errol fighting Terence Crawford is that this will be the first time that we see Errol in the ring with an athletic fighter who is not, who moves around the ring, has pop, right? Other than, he said that's will be the first time, that he's seen that, and he won't see that unless he's fighting guys like Terence Crawford or myself. And then he says, and he's like, in this irritated way he says it. It's like, and there's other young guys, new kids on the block, clearly talking about Jaron Ennis, because when you're talking about somebody having, being very, very athletic, moving very well, having big power, that definition, that description doesn't fit anybody more than it fits Jaron Ennis. But Keith Thurman doesn't even want to get the man's name out of his mouth, man. In other times when he was asked about this situation where Brian Custer was interviewing him, and clearly the reference was about Jaron Ennis and him fighting these young fighters, because the only young fighter that is out there that is trying to get a fight with Keith Thurman is Jaron Ennis. You don't hear Virgil Ortiz talking about it. You don't hear Speedy Rashidi Ellis talking about it, or any real buzz about that. Well, I guess you could say that, there was some conversation about Conor Benn, but with Conor Benn, he even mentioned Conor Benn's name. But with Jaron Ennis, he was like, these other young guys, I'll fight these young guys, but don't confuse me with a gatekeeper, because if I'm the gatekeeper, then the gate is iron shut. No, I have to agree with my man, Sean Porter on this. Nah, you're a gatekeeper, man. At this point in time, like if you are not going to be able to get a fight with those two of those champions, that is what you're going to be. Right? Because people are going to have to go through you to get to them. And as it stands right now, we don't know when the Errol and Terence fight is going to get made, or if it's going to get made. Reports keep pushing it back and all kind of other stuff going on with it. But whatever the case is, Keith Thurman cannot continue to take long periods of time off. He needs a fight this year. And if he's going to get a fight, more than likely it's going to be against somebody that is a young up and coming fighter, right? I'm not even sure, because pretty much all of his contemporaries are either retired or left the weight class, right? Like Kell Brook, gone. Sean Porter retired. Danny Garcia moved up in weight. So the only other two people that are right around him are Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford, and he can't get those fights. So the next level of those guys is a Jaron Ennis. But also it would do really, really well for Keith Thurman to fight Jaron Ennis, because if he wins the fight, boom, he's right back on top. Now I'm not saying that I think he will win the fight, but I think that, that might be a good route for him, honestly, obviously, provided he gets the money that he wants. But anyway, it's just a little bit disturbing to hear, history repeat itself with him refusing to mention or even say Jaron Ennis' name. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.